Okay, All-Star breaks here. Got taking to relax for all of our boys. It's your boy G with Alec and Matt. Glad to be back for another episode for you guys. Talking about the Lakers today, as we are here at the All-Star break. Got a chance for the team to really take a second to regather themselves as they have a new roster of all these new guys that they acquired in the trade deadline. Want to talk about the moves that were made. Want to talk about the guys that have been let go and all of that, and look at the possibilities for this team. I'm going to the back half of this season. So is there a chance we make the playoffs still? Are we going to be bounced out? What's all going to go on with that? It's the possibilities that could come as a result as well. So a lot of things go on with it. We brought in Maddie to have an unbiased opinion in here. And he's very excited to get into it all. So appreciate y'all. Like, rate, subscribe, all that good stuff for us. And yeah, let's get into it. It's going to be a fun conversation today. Let's do it. All right, new team is here, man. We had a whole lot of things changed around after the trade deadline. LeBron put the call in, put the word in, all the tweets and things. Rob got the message and responded accordingly. Flipping around 5 or 6 guys on this roster. So yeah, we have a new squad and they're off to a decent start. 2-2 deadline and all of that. But before we even get into the games, just starting there with who we have. We traded Russell Westbrook at the deadline. We traded Juan Anderson with them. We traded Damian Jones. Traded Thomas Bryant, who demanded a trade because he wasn't getting playing time. That's another conversation.
I don't know about demanded, but yeah.
He did something. He's gone. So Thomas Bryant's out the door. Kendrick Nunn is out the door. Pat Beverly's out the door as well. And in return, we got Rui Hachimura back. We got D'Lo back. I forgot my jersey today, but D'Lo's back in the building. Malik Beasley's here. Jared Vanderbilt's here. Devon Reed is here. I haven't seen him play, but he's here somewhere. Yeah. And Mo Bamba is in the building. So a lot of good pieces. I think Robbie did a good job acquiring guys. I'm at the deadline and responding, as I said, to LeBron's call to action in a way, as he does at times. And I'm interested to see how this team plays. Alec, first off, what do you think of the moves that were made by Rob at the deadline?
Yeah, I think Rob Pelinka did his best Birdman, put some respect on my name impression at the deadline. He definitely, I think we got better overall. As we spoke about briefly, I think you weren't going to get a superstar back in return for Russell Westbrook, but we did get depth back, which was sorely needed, especially at the wing position and shooting the ball. We got a couple guys that can hit the three now, and then also got a couple guys that can help AD on the front line, like Mo Bamba and a little bit from Jared Vanderbilt as well. So I think as a whole, the team got better. And I was happy with really all the moves that he made, starting with the Rui Hachimura move. I thought that immediately made us better. As Kendrick Nunn wasn't the Kendrick Nunn of Miami days for us. No. So yeah, I was happy with all the trades that Pelinka made.
Matt, as a Celtics fan, does the Laker move scare you at all?
Scare me? No.
I gotta
they did not trade for Kevin Durant, so no,
right.
I'm not very scared. But I mean, I've always, like, in the past, I'm very critical of Rob Pelinka. I haven't thought of him much as a GM. I've always kind of ironically called him Robbie Deals, and he actually made a couple good ones. So I mean, it's, the depth like Alec is talking about, and especially if they're making a push in the Western Conference. You need wing depth, especially like wing defenders, especially now Kevin Durant is in the Western Conference and, the same division. So, I mean, I think it was important, added good depth out of really parts that outside of Westbrook weren't really doing a ton for the team too.
True.
So, that's important. I mean, I think D'Lo, is the X factor to that. If he can really become another distributor so that entire burden isn't on LeBron. I think that's something that the team could really use, like the offense. And then I think Vanderbilt and Bamba should be a good enough rim protector. Has he played for the team yet? Or
yeah, he just played this last game against the Pelicans. He got off his suspension from fighting Austin Rivers.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, Austin Rivers had to defend his city. I forgot about that.
Right. Yeah, so he's played a little bit, made a little bit of an impact last game.
To your main point, though, D'Lo definitely is X factor of those guys that we added. And it's just interesting just seeing the reaction to him now from Laker fans again. They're like, oh, he needed to leave and grow first as a player before coming back and being the guy. I'm like, no, he didn't. Y'all are just being annoying right now. He could have grown up here and went through the struggles and been just fine. We've talked before about his path a little bit. And say that again, Alec.
I said strong disagree.
But go ahead. Why do you think he had to leave before returning as he's done?
Yeah, I mean, I thought the immaturity was there as a young player, obviously. So, like, you expect a 19, 20-year-old to make some mistakes, but that kind of mistake, I think you lose. What do you say?
That whole team when he was first here was immature. With vets,
if you go back and look at the roster, there's vets on there too. They weren't very good at the time.
Yeah, we valued them as much as D'Lo, it seemed, which didn't make any sense to me.
Well, I believe Mitch Kupchak was the one who drafted D'Angelo Russell, and then when Magic came in, he's the one who sent him out because he was the one that didn't want that snitch in the locker room after what happened. I think he understands what goes on in an NBA locker room better than a lot of GMs probably do in Magic.
And he also knows that team that he has around him isn't going to be there long. So why would he care about that?
I don't think they were keen on the fit, which probably would have worked all right. I don't think they were keen on the fit with him next to Lonzo. Like, he wanted to draft Lonzo as the point guard of the future. Like, that was clear. He was talking about having his number in the rafters at that time. So I think that largely played into why they traded him along with Mozgov to make the money work too. But yeah, I think there was plenty of reasons why he had to leave. Yeah, they maybe could have traded someone else in his place, but with that Nick Young situation, there was all the cause for him to be removed from the locker room.
Got it. We won't have too long on that. We could talk about that all day. To be honest with you, we've shared our thing. Matt, if you want to ask me, go ahead.
Yeah, I feel like of the teams that have traded D'Lo, and there's quite a few now, they treated him the best of that. Like, they sent him to the situation where he was most successful.
True.
And then, I mean, after that, he was traded for Kevin Durant, never really fit in Golden State, and then they were just like, we don't know what to do with you. We'll swap you for another terrible contract, who ended up being the key figure in the finals for them in Andrew Wiggins. So, like, he hasn't really been put in good situations. Like, I would argue this one in LA is probably the best one since Brooklyn for him. So, I mean, he's back, in a somewhat familiar environment. Yeah. I mean, I think that team around him is probably, like I said, the best since Brooklyn. So
he's in a place where he's wanted. Wanted and needed at this point. So
as we circled around too, he definitely going to be vital now here, and excited to see what will happen with him. As a quick note before we get more into the new guys that we have here, he was one of the deals, that resulted in Russell Westbrook being traded out the building. What are your final thoughts on Russ's tenure, and what do you think is going to happen next with him?
Yeah, obviously, if you've listened to the podcast or me, I'm a huge Russell Westbrook guy. One of my 3 favorite players since Kobe retired. So it's tough just as a fan of his to not be able to watch him play for my team anymore. But I understand the basketball fit was not ideal with him and LeBron. And especially when LeBron and AD were on the floor, the spacing was tough. And especially in those closing game situations, the decision making and the spacing was compromised with the 3 of them in the lineup. So I understand moving off of him, and I'm happy with the return that they got for him, and hopeful that in these coming days he finds a situation where he can be accepted by the fan base as well too, and make an impact on the floor towards winning. There's a couple teams that have already been discussed potentially after he's bought out that may be suitors for him. So I'm interested to see where he lands, whether that's still in crypto with the Clippers or whether that's with Miami or Washington or Chicago.
Quick question. Did I freeze?
Yeah. Oh, you are frozen now. Yeah.
Hold on. I'm looking at myself. I'm like, why am I not moving? Okay. Good. Yeah. I don't know why that froze like that, but we back.
I'm sure it still got all my audio, I'm sure. So
you made your point about Russ and his departure. Last thing I was going to say, and I'll pass it to Matt, was just that it was interesting seeing. We talked about D'Lo and his moving around and things, and the reaction to him. Seeing the reaction to Russ and how he's bounced around now and where he may go next. I saw a quote from Gilbert Arenas that said today where he goes is going to be the deciding factor for the championship now.
I saw that. I was a little surprised by that.
Not being dramatic about him. He was doing a complete 180 from the vampire and things he was called just a week ago. So yeah, I'm glad to see that he, I guess, has support again. And hope the best for him going forward. But Matt,
those two, I'll say those two media sources they're completely different outlets too.
They're very different, but just saying there's always two ends of the spectrum going on.
Right.
Matt, what do you think about Russ's departure and where he could go next?
I mean, yeah, I've heard a lot of ties to Miami, which, they're probably the team I hate the most in the league currently. So I'd like to keep rooting for Russ. Wouldn't be able to there. But I think that fit would be good. Kyle Lowry hasn't really panned out for them.
Right.
I mean, Gabe Vincent plays well, but I think a guy like Russ could help their offense. In the defensively, I mean, they at least have Bam back there, so he could be, pretty, like, he could try to just stick in the passing lanes. I feel like he used to, hunt for steals a lot that way back in OKC. So I think that could be a good fit for him. Yeah, I mean, I truly just want him to, be successful. Like the way LA media kind of turned on him so quickly reminded me a lot of how, like, Boston media does that a lot with the Red Sox. Like if you have like a bad month, like I remember Dustin Pedroia, won an MVP 2 seasons later. Like the first month he was in the majors, everyone was like, who is this guy? He stinks. Like was calling for him to be sent back down. And then he went on a tear the rest of the year. So it's just, it goes that quick. And then there's such a focus on the money too. It gets nasty like that. So
that was
at least
a major reason for sure.
Yeah. And now we won't have that hanging over his head with, he'll probably be on like a vet minimum after his buyout. So yeah, I'm really just looking forward to seeing him get back on his feet.
Yeah, exactly. So definitely rooting for him and all of that. For what we have now here in LA, though, as we said, get into our main question that we've been alluding as we've been talking about everything else. Now with the whole team that we have on this roster now, Alec, can the new Lakers get this team to the playoffs? We're still on the outside still. We're still in the 13th spot, I believe. We're at the All-Star break. We have like 23 games left, I believe, and we have a decent schedule ahead of us. You think it's possible that these guys can get us at least to the 10 seed, right? We're going to get there, right?
Yeah, I'm definitely stamping them like as a play-in team. I believe a playoff team. The absolute ceiling I could see them getting to is a 6 seed, but I think they'll be in play-in contention. I think they'll be in the 8 through 10 range probably. I think the teams got significantly better with the trades that we made. It may take a little bit as far as building the chemistry with some of these new guys. But I think, as I said before, that there's no excuse for LeBron and AD with the talent that we have acquired now. Like you got the shooting, you got some of the wing defense, you got an additional playmaker to take some of the load off of LeBron. So I think they should, barring injury, like they should be a playoff team. And that's always a major question mark is how healthy is this team going to stay, specifically Anthony Davis. He was playing at an MVP level earlier in the season and then got hurt like clockwork once again. So that's going to be a key component. But beyond the injury, I think this team is talented enough to be a playoff team, and I believe they will be. And I think they probably, as you asked Matt, like, does he fear if Russell Westbrook like goes to the Heat or whatever? Like, I think some teams will maybe not fear, but they won't be 100% comfortable in a matchup against LeBron and AD in the playoffs, regardless of what seed they'd be in. So,
you gave a pretty confident yes and gave a decent ceiling, gave them a size of 6 seed. You say if things all go
if everything goes ideal,
as best possible. Sure. You gave a pretty high ceiling. My yes is not as confident. I think it's very possible that they get to the 10 seed. Still, I think it's very possible to get to the playoffs. But just seeing the teams that are around them, they do have to. They still have to get past them, and those teams are competing themselves. And I think they're going to put blue lights and want to make noise. Dame is in that 11th spot, a couple spots ahead of us, bordering that 10th seed, and he doesn't want to miss the playoffs again. He wants to make sure he's in there. He's been playing great basketball since the beginning of the year. I saw a stat that said he has the most points since the start of the new year by a pretty high margin and things of that nature. So Danny's been balling, and the team is trying to find ways around it. Shaedon Sharpe, we joked about, is missing the dunk contest to focus on winning for the team. So that team is trying to lock in and things of that nature. Teams are trying to, whether we joke about it or not, are trying to lock in and make the most of this last stretch. And we'll see if the Lakers can still push through that and get to the play-in and playoffs from there. So it's going to be a tough one. I think we read it before that the Lakers had like the 20th ranked or 22nd ranked strength of schedule the rest of the way, with a few teams that are around us in similar position. So yeah, we just got to win the games. That win out as much as we can, and not take any teams lightly. And yeah, I think it's possible, but I'm just not as sure as you seem to be. Matt, what do you think about the Lakers and the playoff chances at this point?
Yeah, I think 6 seed, like Alex said, is a bit ambitious, but I do think
he's one of those fans.
Yeah,
I said that's if everything goes like well. Like that's the like utmost highest I could see them possibly getting.
LeBron James steps through a wormhole and is 29 again.
Right, right.
Well, LeBron's not been the issue.
Yeah, LeBron got to step through a multiverse some kind of way to get into the playoffs. We'll see how that works out.
LeBron's still playing like he's 29.
No, that's true. But I mean, I still think there'll be a tough out in the playoffs regardless. Like, I think similar to what you did say, Alec, it'll, no teams really want to face them. Just for LeBron and AD. I think it'll be very matchup dependent though. Like I think the team, like we said with the trade acquisitions, they have better wing depth. But I think a team like if you see Portland and it's like the 8-9 game for the play-in, I would be very scared as a Lakers fan. Because I just feel like guard defense is where that weakness is now. So then team that has like Dame and Anthony Simons and then Shaedon Sharpe, like I think they could do some damage. But then if you play like I don't know, the Clippers, say you get through that and play the Clippers round one, I could see that matchup being pretty favorable for the Lakers. So, I think it'll really just be the luck of the draw there.
Yeah. So we'll see how it plays out. Definitely excited to see how things go the rest of the way. They had a good start, as we mentioned yesterday. It seemed like the chemistry was at least they had a good base for what this team could be. D'Lo and AD seemed to work decent into pick and roll situations and things like that. What else I saw? Mo Bamba looked decent at times during that game. Beasley was hitting shots and all of that. And Jared Vanderbilt, I think, is actually, I guess, next in line for most important in regards to the new guys that we got, because he allows LeBron to play more of that small forward, point forward type spot, rather than having to stay more down low as he had been doing at times of the season. So, as well as for defensively, take a little pressure off of him too. So, yeah, definitely excited for all of them, and we shall see. The last question will be, we talked about the positive. We talked about Alec and how the high ceiling that we may have. On the backside, if things don't work, we've seen how AD has been out of character at times this season. We've seen how people have been frustrated with his just his play and all of that. If for some reason this thing does not work, is it possible with him only have a year plus an option after that left on his contract? Is it possible now that things don't work? We're in the last days of AD.
Yeah, I think, like you said, with me setting that high ceiling of 6, which is crazy to say that's a high ceiling, but that's where the Lakers are at right now. I think they're a high ceiling, low floor team with the superstar talent that they have at the top, and that superstar talent being injury prone. That's why it can go from high to they could potentially just stay at the 13 seed if AD goes out again, or if LeBron misses significant time to end the season. Right. So I think there has to be a little bit of concern with AD. I think I brought up the quote I heard from someone where like the idea of Anthony Davis has become like better than Anthony Davis at this point, because he is that top 5 guy when he's at his absolute best. But when he's not, or when he's hurt and unavailable, it severely hurts your team. So I think, as we've talked about it in previous years, like, as Pelinka being the GM, you have to do your due diligence to see what is out there and available for a guy like that, while his value is still high and people still view him as a potentially top 10, top 5 guy at the peak of his powers.
Correct.
I think you have to explore trade opportunities if this team isn't in championship contention by the looking like they're in championship contention by next year's deadline, I think you should explore options for AD at that point.
Yeah, seeing the up and downs we've had with him for forever now, seeing at times where he seems disconnected or where the case may be, his health continue to be the issue. Yeah, I agree with you. So definitely, I'm a fan of his, and love to see him play and be the guy that is the top 5 guy. But the reality is that those moments have now become few and far between, sadly. So yeah, we'll see what comes of it, and seeing what could be on the horizon. I'm just seeing the young guys that are rising up in this league as well. Seeing that we could possibly get one of them as with AD going out if need be. Yeah, again, we got to explore all options. So yeah, we shall see how things go. Hopefully it starts off. Hopefully we don't have to look into those things and things go strong.
Yeah,
this year and going forward. But yeah, there's plenty of the whole world opportunity if things don't go. So yeah, we shall see. Alec or Matt, my apologies. What do you think about our age situation right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think trading him, especially if you get word from LeBron that he might want to retire in like a year or two, I think it would be smart to do that. I mean, I don't want to say LeBron doesn't care about winning, but he certainly seemed pretty happy last week breaking the record in a losing effort. Yeah, so if he sort of gives the green light or has any sort of signal that he's going to retire, I think it would make sense. While he's still under contract, while the teams would still want him, just see what's out there.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was the last thing I wanted to talk about. When we're at the Lakers right now, sure, there's there's other things to get to, but for right now, we'll leave it at that. We thank y'all for tuning in. We're condensing our episodes now, as we mentioned before, have more concise discussions about things that we see around us, especially here with all things going on in LA. So we talked about the Lakers right now. We'll get into the playoffs next episode and the All-Star break, and then more of the playoff prediction stuff going from there. But yeah, very fun stuff here. Appreciate Matt for adding his input in, having that unbiased opinion. We definitely need that on the show sometimes.
Hey, there's Celtics bias. I don't know about unbiased.
Anyway, we can get Celtics stuff another time, but for right now, that'll do it. Appreciate y'all. See y'all again very, very soon. And yeah, we out of here, man. Peace.
Deuces.